Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. And today's daf is Shevuot Daf 48 Omid B. So let's dive straight in. Massive Rav Nasan Ba Hosha'aya Yafakocha Ben Mi Koach Ha'ov. Rav Natan ben Hosha'aya raises an objection from a Braita. Sometimes the power of the son is greater than the power of the father, as the son can collect both by taking an oath and without taking an oath, while the father can collect only by taking an oath. What are the circumstances in which this occurs? It is when the borrower died during the lifetime of the lender. The father, who is the lender, can collect from the borrower's heirs only if he takes an oath. As this is taught, as the son can collect both by taking an oath and without taking an oath, he collects by taking an oath when he takes his heir's oath, that he has no knowledge of his father's debt, that his father's debt was paid, and he collects without taking an oath in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel in the Mishnah, that there are witnesses that the father said at the time of his death that a certain promise had not been paid. The son collects the debts without taking an oath. In any case, absent testimony to that effect, the father bequeaths the oath to his children, and the son can collect by taking an oath, contrary to the ruling of Rav and Shmuel. Rav Yosef said in response, according to the opinion is brighter, is in accordance with the opinion of Beis Shammai, who say that a debt according to the promissory note that stands to be collected is considered as if it is already collected. Therefore, the father is considered to be already in possession of the loan and bequeathed to his son. Even though the sages instituted that the son takes an oath to the heirs of the borrower, this is not the case of the son inheriting an oath. It is related that Rav Nachman arrived in the city of Surah. Rav Chisda and Rabbi Rav Hunas came to see him. They said to him, "Let our master come, and together we will overturn the ruling of Rav and Shmuel." Rav Nachman said to them, "Did I exert myself and come all these parasangs to uproot that ruling of Rav and Shmuel? Rather, let us not extend their ruling by applying it to the situation outside the specific context when the borrower died during the lifetime of the lender." Ramah offers an example. This is like what our Papa said: if a creditor vitiates his promissory notes, the principle is that one cannot bequeath an oath to his heirs and apply it only to the original circumstances and not to expanded, and is not expanded to similar cases. Therefore, if a creditor vitiates his promissory note and dies, although he himself can collect only by taking an oath concerning the debt, his children simply take an oath that the father did not inform them by another person nor tell them himself that the rest of the debt was paid. And they found nothing in his documents that indicated this, and they came to collect the rest of the debt, whether from the debtor or from his heirs. This applies only if the debtor was alive when the creditor died, and if the debtor died first, then the creditor incurs liability to take an oath, since he is collecting from the property of orphans, and that is the oath that a person cannot bequeath to his heirs. And that's from the Sma. This is in accordance with the opinion of Rav Papa, as in Rambam Sefer Mishpatim Hilchot Merava Valova 17:5 Shulchan Aruch HaMitzvah Honeit 14. By acknowledging that which he has received partial payment, and thereby rendering himself liable to take an oath in order to receive the rest, and then he dies, his heirs take the heir's oath and collect from the debtor. The Gemara relates, there was a certain debtor who died and left a guarantor. In this incident, the debtor died, leaving a guarantor, and then the creditor died. Since the creditor's orphans knew that they could not collect from the orphans of the debtor, they simply approached the guarantor to collect the debt from him, since a guarantor is supposed to repay the debt if for any reason the debtor does not do so of his debt, and the orphans of the creditor came to collect from the guarantor. Rav Papa thought to say this too is a case to which one should not extend Rav and Shmuel's ruling, as they said only that orphans do not inherit an oath to collect from the other orphans, and this should not apply to collecting from a guarantor. Rav Huna, son of Rav Yeshua, said to Rav Papa, "Is that to say that the guarantor will not pursue the orphans to collect from them? If the debtor died before the creditor, and there was a guarantor of the loan, the creditor's heirs may not collect from the guarantor if the debtor left property, as the guarantor will take reimbursement from the debtor's heirs. if the debtor left them property. This is according to the opinion of Rav Huna, son of Rav Yoshua. In this situation, it makes no difference whether there is an ordinary guarantor or a contractor guarantor who is more directly responsible for the loan. The Maharik writes that if the guarantor himself is the heir, the creditor's heirs may collect from him. That's in Rambam Sefer Mishpat, and Hilchot Ma'av V'Lova 17, 4 Shulchan Aruch Mishpat 108:11. The orphans and collect from them. Ultimately, collecting from the guarantor is tantamount to collecting from the orphans, and no distinction should be made. The Gemara later, as soon as the creditor died and left his brother as his heir, he wanted to collect from the orphans of the debtor. Rami Bahama thought to say that this too is a case where one should not extend Rav and Shmuel's ruling. So Rav and Shmuel ruled that one does not bequeath an oath to one's children, and they did not mention a case where the heir is his brother. Rav said to him, "What difference does it make to me if the oath is taken by the heir? Is my father did not inform me that this debt had been paid? And what difference does it make to me if the oath is taken my brother did not inform me?" If the debtor died before the creditor's heirs, whether they are sons, brothers, or the heirs, cannot collect anything, even by taking an oath. This is according to the opinion of Rav Papa. I'm saying Mishpat, Hilchot Ma'av V'Lova 17, 3 Shulchan Aruch Mishpat 108:11. Rav Hama says, now that the halacha was not stated either according to the opinion of Rav and Shmuel or according to the opinion of Rabbi Elazar, a judge who rules according to the opinion of Rav and Shmuel has ruled. The Yana, the Avad, Karav, Shmuel, V'chulu. A judge who rules in accordance with Rav and Shmuel, except if a judge acts improperly and administers an oath to the heirs of the creditor and allow them to collect from the heirs of the debtor, or the heirs of the creditor simply collect the debt on their own, the money is not appropriated from them. This is according to the opinion of Rav Hama, or therefore, although the heirs of the creditor do not collect their debt from the heirs of the debtor ab initio, as one does not bequeath an oath to his heirs. Nevertheless, the promissory note for that debt is not torn up, as perhaps a future judge will rule that the debt can be collected by taking an oath. This is according to the opinion of Rav Papa. The Ramah writes that it is the steward for the orphans who may not tear up the promissory note, but the court that hears the cases must certainly do so. If the court does not do so, and another court allows collection of the debt based upon the promissory note, what they have done is done. And they Mishpat, Hilchot Ma'av V'Lova 17, 3 Shulchan Aruch Mishpat 108:11. Has ruled, and his ruling is accepted. And the judge who rules according to the opinion of Rabbi Elazar has ruled, and his ruling is accepted. Rav Papa says, when that promissory note of orphans comes before our court, we do not tear it up, but we also do not collect the debt with it. We do not collect the debt with it, since perhaps we should hold, in accordance to the opinion of Rav and Shmuel, that orphans cannot collect debts in a case where their father was required to take an oath to collect, as they cannot take the appropriate oath, but we do not tear it up. Since a judge who rules in accordance to the opinion of Rabbi Elazar has ruled. The Gemara later, there was a certain judge who ruled in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Elazar. There was a Torah scholar in a city. He said to the judge, I will bring a letter from the west, Eretz Yisrael, stating that the halach is not in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Elazar. The judge said to him, when you bring such a letter, I will consider it, but for now I stand by my ruling. And a Torah scholar who came before Rav Hama, and Rav Hama said to him, a judge who rules in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Elazar has ruled, and his ruling cannot be voided. The Mishnah teaches that, and these people are sometimes required to take an oath that they do not owe anything, even when there is no explicit claim against them. Partners, sharecroppers, stewards, a woman who does business from home where she manages the property of orphans, and a member of the household appointed to manage the household's affairs. The Gemara asks, is that to say that we are dealing with fools who take an oath even though no claim has been brought against them? The Gemara explains this is what the Mishnah is saying. And these people take an oath without it being in response to a definite claim. With regard to partner, sharecroppers, a steward appointed by a court, a wife who manages the household property, a wife whose husband has appointed her as his storekeeper, a member of the household who manages the household property, each of these may be required to take an oath by rabbinic law based on an uncertain claim that they have stolen property in their charge, or they have kept an exact accounting for it. Such an oath may be administered at any time, and there is no need to wait until the end of their serving in these functions to administer the oath. The Ramah cites in the words, the sages institute this oath because it is common for people in such positions to appropriate some of the property for themselves, using as an excuse the effort they invest in performing their duties. The sages utilize this oath to help motivate them to behave in a totally honest manner. Say for Kinyan Hilchot Shulachin Vishus Tofin 9.1, Shulchan Aruch Mitzvah 93.1, and see 93.4. But only to a certain claim, i.e. the claimant cannot know with certainty that he is owed money. Partner Shekhovs and others listen in the Mishnah. The sages taught in a Brighton to Sefta Ketubot 9.3 with regard to the member of the household whom they mention in the Mishnah. This is not referring to one who enters and exits the house on foot as a family friend, but rather one who engages in labourers and dismisses labourers, gathers produce and sends out produce in managing the household. The Gemara asks, and what is different about these people listed in the Mishnah, e.g. partners, so that they are liable to take an oath in response to a certain claim? It is because they tend to grant themselves permission to take for themselves from the property for which they are responsible, using as an excuse the effort they invest in their duties. Amar Rav Yosef Bar Min Yumi, Amar Rav Nachman. One takes an oath in response to a certain claim only when there is a claim between them worth at least 2 silver ma'ah. V'hi sheyesh beinahu shetei chesef. Those who are required to take an oath based upon an uncertain claim are required to do so only if the claim is of at least the value of 2 silver ma'ah coins. That's the Ramah site in Haggahot Mordechai. No oath may be administered for less than this value. This is according to the opinion of Rav Nachman on the explanation of the Migash. It is not necessary for the oath taker to have first admitted to part of the claim. The Ram say for Kinyan Hilchot Shluchin Vishus Tofim 9.2, Shulchan Aruch Mitzvah 93.1. The Gemara asks, in accordance with whose opinion is this ruling? Is it in accordance with that of Shmuel? Shmuel holds that one becomes liable to take an oath after admitting to part of a claim when the value of the entire claim is at least 2 silver ma'ah. Rav holds the portion one denies he owes must be at least 2 ma'ah. But then Rabbi Chia teach a Braita in support of Rav. The Gemara answers, say that Rav Nachman means that the value of the denial of a claim is at least 2 silver ma'ah in accordance with the opinion of Rav. Kefiras Ta'ana. Rashi holds that according to the opinion of Rav Nachman, even an oath between partners is taken only when there is a situation similar to that requiring an oath by Torah law. Therefore, he requires a claim of at least the value of 2 silver ma'ah coins, and also requires that it is a case where the defendant admits to part of the claim. Although this is an oath due to uncertainty, there must be denial and partial admission in order for there to be an obligation to take an oath. Many other commentators do not require admission to part of the claim in this case. It will be Migas and Rambam and the Rid. It is at least 2 silver ma'ah according to the opinion of Rav. The Mishnah teaches once the partners or the sharecroppers have divided the common property and each has taken his share, then one side may not require an oath of the other absent a definite claim. The question was raised before the sages: what is halacha about extending an oath? Gil Shevuot. When a defendant is liable to take an oath in order to free himself of a liability, the claimant can require him to extend the oath to include denial of other claims by the claimant, which is not the same requires the defendant to take an oath to an additional situation, in which case the original oath is by rabbinic law. The Gemara suggests, come to her Braita, if one borrowed from another on the eve of before the sabbatical year, and upon the conclusion of the sabbatical year became his partner or sharecropper, the lender may not extend the partner's or sharecropper's oath to an oath about the loan. The Gemara infers the reason that he may not extend the oath is that he borrowed from him on the eve of the sabbatical year, so the sabbatical year came and abrogated the loan, rendering the loan irrelevant. Therefore, if he borrowed during the other years of the 7-year sabbatical cycle, an oath may be extended from the partner's oath or sharecropper's oath, which are rabbinic ordinances, to an oath about the loan. The Gemara rejects that inference. Do not say, therefore, if he borrowed during the other years of the sabbatical cycle, an oath may be extended. Rather say that one should infer from the brighter that if he became his partner, Shechob on the eve of the sabbatical year, and upon conclusion of the sabbatical year, he borrowed from it and incurred an oath by Torah law, that oath may be extended. The Gemara asks, it doesn't talk explicitly in the Baraita. It teaches, if he became his partner or Shechob on the eve of the sabbatical year, and upon conclusion of the sabbatical year he borrowed from him, the oath may be extended. Therefore, the initial inference must be corrected. Conclude from it that an oath incurred by rabbinic law may be extended. The Gemara affirms, conclude from it that this is so. And says Rav Hun, and that's going to move to the next daf. So just read that footnote. Megalgalin bid Rabbanon. An oath incurred by rabbinic law may be extended after the partners have extended their partnership, or the sharecroppers have completed their years of sharecropping, or the wife has become divorced, or the member of the household has left the household, or the agent has fulfilled his agency. This oath cannot be administered to them. Nevertheless, the opposing litigant can have the court state that anyone stole from his property while holding a position of responsibility that is communicated. But if one has a definite claim against the other, he can administer an oath concerning that claim and extend that oath to include claims concerning which he is uncertain. Also, if he later administers an oath to the defendant for an unrelated claim, he may then administer an additional oath for him for any possible claim that he so desires, including a claim based upon a partnership or the like. Sefer Kin Shaluchin 9:7 Shulchan Aruch Mishpat 93:6. Thank you for listening and all the best. Bye.